That familiar morning stiffness isn't just a side effect of a restless night. It is the body's quiet protest, a daily reminder that the ease of movement once taken for granted is slowly being replaced by a frustrating rigidity. For many, this creeping inflexibility feels like an unavoidable sentence handed down by age. But what if a forgotten mineral, not endless stretching or powerful medications, holds the key to unlocking that stiffness? What if the solution lies not in managing the symptoms, but in rebuilding the very fabric of the body from within? This is a story that unfolds deep within the body, in the silent, microscopic world of our connective tissues. It is a story about a fundamental building block that modern life has caused many to overlook, with profound consequences for mobility and vitality. The accepted narrative often points to simple wear and tear, the inevitable erosion of cartilage, or the inflammation of arthritis as the primary culprits. And while these factors certainly play a role, they are not the complete picture. They are often symptoms of a deeper, more foundational issue: a weakness in the body's internal scaffolding. This scaffolding is a complex matrix of proteins, primarily collagen and elastin, that provides structure, strength, and elasticity to nearly every part of the human form. It is the silent, unsung hero that allows skin to stretch, blood vessels to expand, and joints to glide with fluid grace. When this matrix is strong and well maintained, the body feels resilient, pliable, and youthful, regardless of chronological age. However, when it begins to degrade, the body becomes brittle. Joints ache, tendons tighten, and a pervasive stiffness sets in. This changes everything. For decades, the conventional wisdom has been to stretch, to engage in physical therapy, to manage the pain. These approaches can provide temporary relief, but they do not address the root cause of the structural decline. They are akin to repainting a house with a crumbling foundation. The true solution must go deeper, to the nutritional level, to provide the raw materials the body needs to repair and regenerate its own essential framework. The search for this solution leads not to a new pharmaceutical breakthrough, but to an ancient element, forged in the stars and essential to life on Earth. It is a nutrient so common in the Earth's crust, yet so conspicuously absent from the modern plate. A nutrient that orchestrates the synthesis of collagen itself, acting as the master architect for the body's most critical structural protein. Without it, the body's ability to heal and maintain its connective tissues is profoundly compromised. The key to reclaiming fluid, pain-free movement is not about forcing stiff tissues to bend. It is about restoring their inherent, youthful flexibility. The quest to understand this process begins with collagen. It is often called the glue of the body, and for good reason. Accounting for nearly 1/3 of the body's total protein, collagen is the primary component of tendons, ligaments, skin, and cartilage. It forms the very matrix of our bones, providing the tensile strength that prevents them from becoming brittle. When one visualizes the body, it is collagen that provides the form and the resilience. One may find that as the years pass, the body's natural production of collagen slows significantly. This decline is a well-documented aspect of the aging process, beginning as early as one's late 20s and accelerating after 50. This slowdown in production is what leads to wrinkles in the skin, a loss of elasticity in blood vessels, and most critically for our topic, a weakening and stiffening of the joints. The cartilage that caps the ends of our bones, providing a smooth, cushioned surface for movement, begins to thin and fray. The ligaments and tendons, which connect bone to bone and muscle to bone, lose their pliable strength. They become shorter, tighter, and more prone to injury. This is the biological reality behind the feeling of stiffness. It is a physical manifestation of a system that is no longer able to repair itself as efficiently as it once did. But this is where the conventional story ends, and our deeper investigation begins. The simple fact of less collagen is not the entire explanation. The crucial question is why? Why does the body lose its ability to create high-quality collagen? The answer lies in the essential cofactors, the helper molecules that are absolutely necessary for the complex biochemical process of collagen synthesis. The body can have all the amino acid building blocks it needs, but without these key facilitators, the production line grinds to a halt. One of the most vital and most overlooked of these facilitators is an element known as silicon, which the body utilizes in the form of silica. Silica, a compound of silicon and oxygen, is not just a passive bystander in this process. Research shows it is an active and essential participant. It is believed to activate the hydroxylating enzymes, the molecular machinery responsible for cross-linking collagen fibers. This cross-linking process is what gives collagen its incredible strength and stability. Without sufficient silica, the collagen that is produced may be weaker, less organized, and less effective. The body is still trying to build the house, but it is using a weaker mortar. This results in a slow, systemic decline in the integrity of all connective tissues, a decline that manifests as chronic aches and a deep, unyielding stiffness. This mineral is the forgotten architect. It is the silent partner to collagen, the unsung hero in the fight for flexibility and strength. Its depletion from our modern diet is a central, yet largely ignored, chapter in the story of age-related physical decline. The scientific name is orthosilicic acid, the bioavailable form of silicon that the body can actually absorb and use. While it may sound like a complex laboratory chemical, it is one of the most fundamental elements of the natural world. Plants draw it up from the soil, where it provides structural integrity to their cell walls, giving strength to a stalk of wheat and the crispness to a cucumber. For millennia, human diets were naturally rich in this element. Whole grains, root vegetables, and herbs provided a steady, reliable supply. Our ancestors, through their consumption of unprocessed, earth-grown foods, were constantly replenishing the body's reserves of this vital mineral. However, the dawn of the industrial age and the advent of modern food processing changed this relationship forever. The drive for shelf-stable, refined products led to processes that systematically stripped silica from our food supply. When a whole grain of wheat is milled to produce white flour, the silica-rich outer bran and husk are discarded. The same is true for the refining of sugar from sugarcane or beets. This process is repeated across countless foods. We traded nutrient density for convenience and longevity, and the invisible cost was the gradual depletion of this foundational mineral from our collective diet. This dietary shift has been compounded by changes in modern agriculture. Decades of intensive farming have, in many regions, depleted the topsoil of essential minerals, including silicon. If the mineral is not in the soil, it cannot be taken up by the plant, and therefore, it cannot make its way onto the dinner plate. The result is a population that may be consuming fewer silica-rich foods to begin with, and the foods they do consume may be less nutrient-dense than they were a century ago. This has created a perfect storm for a widespread, subclinical deficiency. The evidence of silica's importance is not merely theoretical. It is written into our very biology. Scientific studies have demonstrated a clear correlation between silica levels and tissue health. For example, research dating back to the 1970s discovered that the human aorta, the body's largest and most elastic artery, contains a high concentration of silica. Crucially, these studies also found that silica levels in the aorta decline dramatically with age, a decline that parallels the vessel's loss of elasticity and the onset of atherosclerosis. This was a profound clue. The mineral's presence was directly linked to the tissue's youthful function. Further research has illuminated its role in bone health. While calcium and vitamin D receive most of the attention, studies published in journals like the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research have shown a significant positive association between dietary silicon intake and bone mineral density in both men and premenopausal women. It appears silica is not only crucial for the collagen matrix within the bone, but it also plays a role in the very process of bone mineralization. It helps to lay down the foundation upon which calcium can be deposited. It is the ultimate team player in the body's structural health. But how can one begin to reverse this trend? How can an individual replenish their body's stores of this vital, forgotten nutrient? The answer, thankfully, lies not in an expensive or inaccessible solution, but in a conscious return to whole, natural foods. The first and most important step is to reintroduce silica-rich foods into one's daily diet. The goal is not to consume massive quantities, but to create a consistent, steady intake that allows the body to rebuild its reserves over time. Nature has provided a wealth of options, many of which are both delicious and easy to incorporate. Among the most potent food sources are whole grains, particularly oats, millets, and barley. A warm bowl of oatmeal in the morning is not just a comforting start to the day. It is a powerful dose of this connective, tissue-building mineral. It is crucial, however, that these are whole oats, such as steel-cut or rolled oats, not the highly processed instant varieties from which many nutrients have been stripped. Brown rice, as opposed to white rice, is another excellent choice, as the silica is concentrated in the outer hull. Vegetables and fruits are also wonderful sources. Green beans, for example, are known to be rich in silica. Cucumbers, especially when consumed with their dark green skin, provide a refreshing and hydrating source. Bell peppers of all colors, root vegetables like carrots and radishes, and leafy greens can all contribute to one's daily intake. The key is variety, and a focus on eating foods in their most natural, unprocessed state. Even certain types of water, particularly mineral water from deep underground springs, can be naturally high in dissolved silica, offering another simple avenue for replenishment. For those seeking a more concentrated source, or for individuals who feel their diet may be particularly lacking, certain herbal supplements have been used for centuries for their high silica content. The most well-known of these is horsetail, an ancient plant that is one of the most silica-rich organisms on the planet. For generations, herbalists have recommended it to support the health of hair, skin, nails, and bones, all tissues that rely on a strong collagen and mineral foundation. Another potent source is bamboo extract, which is often standardized to contain a very high percentage, sometimes over 70%, of natural silica. It is imperative, however, to approach supplementation with wisdom and care. The quality and bioavailability of a supplement are paramount. One should look for products from reputable companies that use clean extraction methods and provide clear information about the source and concentration of their silica. Consulting with a knowledgeable healthcare provider or a registered dietitian before beginning any new supplement regimen is always the most prudent course of action. The goal is to support the body's natural processes gently and effectively. The journey back to flexibility is not a sprint. It is a steady, consistent marathon of providing the body with the right building blocks. Imagine a future where waking up is no longer a negotiation with one's own body. Picture swinging a golf club, kneeling in the garden, or lifting a grandchild into the air not with a wince of anticipated pain, but with a feeling of confidence and strength. This is not a fantasy. It is a physiological possibility when the body is given the fundamental tools it requires to repair and maintain its own structure. Reintroducing adequate silica is not about turning back the clock, but about allowing the body to express its fullest potential for health and vitality at any age. This restoration process is a gradual one. As silica levels are consistently replenished, the body's collagen-producing machinery can begin to function more optimally. The new collagen that is formed is stronger, better organized, and more resilient. Over weeks and months, this microscopic renewal can translate into macroscopic changes. One may first notice that their fingernails are stronger and less brittle. Hair may feel thicker and more resilient. These are external signs that the body's structural integrity is improving from the inside out. Then, the more profound changes may begin to manifest. That chronic ache in a knee or shoulder might feel less persistent. The time it takes to warm up and feel loose in the morning may gradually shorten. Movements that once felt stiff and restricted may begin to feel more fluid and natural. This is the body rewarding consistent, foundational nutrition. It is the feeling of the internal scaffolding being reinforced, one strong collagen fiber at a time. It is a testament to the remarkable, inherent ability of the body to heal itself when given the proper resources. This approach stands in stark contrast to the cycle of pain management. While anti-inflammatory medications can be necessary and helpful for acute conditions, their long-term use for chronic stiffness can sometimes mask the underlying problem without resolving it. By focusing on rebuilding the tissue itself, one is not just silencing the alarm, they are addressing the fire. This proactive stance empowers the individual, shifting the focus from passively managing decline to actively building a more resilient and capable body for the years to come. It's a fundamental shift in perspective, a shift from patient to architect of one's own well-being. The path to reclaiming mobility begins with a simple, conscious choice at every meal. It is a choice to favor the whole, unprocessed grain over the refined white flour, to choose the cucumber with its skin, the brown rice, the handful of green beans. These small, consistent decisions accumulate over time, creating a profound biological impact. It is an investment in the deep infrastructure of the body. One is not merely eating for energy or for flavor, but for structure. They are quite literally consuming the raw materials to rebuild their own joints, bones, and arteries. Consider the historical context. For 99% of human history, our diets were inherently rich in this forgotten mineral. The stiffness and chronic musculoskeletal issues that are now seen as a common part of aging were likely far less prevalent. Our modern epidemic of aches and inflexibility is, in many ways, an unintended consequence of our food revolution. It is a disease of deficiency, hidden in plain sight. By understanding this, one can take a powerful step outside of that modern paradigm and reconnect with a more ancestral way of eating that supports the body's innate design for movement and longevity. This knowledge transforms one's relationship with food. A bowl of oatmeal is no longer just breakfast. It is a dose of connective tissue therapy. A side of steamed green beans is not just a vegetable. It is a deposit into the body's flexibility fund. This mindset shift is empowering. It moves the locus of control away from external treatments and places it firmly in the hands of the individual. Every meal becomes an opportunity to heal, to strengthen, and to build a body that is more capable of carrying one through a vibrant, active, and independent life. The journey does not require perfection, only consistency. It is about making the better choice more often than not. It is about understanding the profound why behind those choices, which provides the motivation to sustain them. The human body is not a machine that simply wears out. It is a dynamic, living organism that is constantly breaking down and rebuilding itself. The secret to aging gracefully is to ensure that the rebuilding process is always slightly ahead of the breakdown process. Providing an abundance of all the necessary raw materials, especially the forgotten ones like silica, is the most powerful way to tip the scales in favor of regeneration. This is the promise of foundational health. It is the understanding that true vitality comes not from a quick fix, but from a deep and abiding respect for the body's needs. By addressing the forgotten deficiency of silica, one can do more than just ease aches and stiffness. They can actively participate in the process of their own renewal, building a stronger, more flexible, and more resilient version of themselves, ready to embrace all the years to come with strength and grace. If this approach to health, grounded in science and practical wisdom, resonates with you, consider subscribing to Better_Health. Our mission is to provide clear, trusted information to help you build a foundation for lifelong vitality. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an insight that could change your health